Welcome to the Regeneration International podcast.
Well, hello, everybody. And I want to go to another good friend of mine, Sundeep Kamath, who's one of our global leaders in biodynamics and definitely a leader in India in the biodynamic movement. Sundeep, I'll hand it over to you now.
So today I would just like to take our viewers today through a little bit about biodynamics and why I'm so passionate and excited about it. So what is biodynamics for some of you who have not heard of it? It's a holistic, ecological, ethical, and a spiritual regenerative approach to farming, gardening, food, and nutrition. And it is based on 8 lectures which a philosopher and scientist called Dr. Rudolf Steiner gave, which is now currently Poland. At that time it was old Europe, it was some other country. And in 1924. And the interesting part about this is this happened just a decade after commercial fertilizers were introduced during the end of the First World War. So already within 10 years of using commercial fertilizers, farmers in Europe started seeing soil fertility dropping. They started seeing the seeds were not lasting that long. There was foot and mouth disease. And Rudolf Steiner gave these lectures it was called the spiritual renewal for agriculture. And the international biodynamic movement has really been at this forefront of the carbon sequestration, animal health, food quality, and preservation of local varieties to help regenerate the earth. It has continued to develop and evolve since the 20s through collaboration of many farmers and researchers. Around the world, it lives in hundreds of thousands of gardens, farms, plantations, vineyards, ranches, and orchards. And the best part, what I really like, is the principles and practices, which I'll touch on, can be applied anywhere where food or even cotton. I work with a cotton project now in Tamil Nadu, or flowers, and to adoption to scale, landscape, climate, and culture. And here is one of the pictures I'm quite excited about. If you see this brinjal root of these two photos here was taken at a farm in Chennai. And on the left, you have organic hybrid seed, which is available in any shop or seed shop. This was planted next to each other by mistake. And, it was not a planned research. It just happened. And this seed is available anywhere. And look at the roots of the one on the left. And next to it was a native variety seed, of a brinjal plant. And just look at the roots here. And this is what we believe from biodynamics, that keeping the spirit or the genus loci, keeping these local breeds, we can really bring for this current climate resilient agriculture. This is what we need for the climate. We need seeds like this, which of course biodynamics helps the roots grow better, but the local variety of seeds will even make the roots go even deeper. And this is really climate resilience, example of climate resilience. One of the other things which we do with biodynamics is give a lot of focus on biodiversity, to have it on all our farms. And in India, as you know, Andre, there are many small farmers. And if you have an acre or 2 acres and you tell them, 10% of your farm you have to leave for biodiversity, it is a loss of production for them and it's very difficult. So what we have is we can have sacred groves, which we see, again, the cotton project I refer to. In many villages, we have these places, sometimes near the temple, where the villagers kind of look at it as a holy place, like a religious place, these groves. And that we kind of consider that as part of the farm, even though it's not in the farm, but it's adjoining between 2 farmers. And this is a very good way for biodynamics to really meet this biodiversity component into the farm, and the villagers really look after it. They look after it commonly. There are about 14,000 which have been reported, but many experts say there are more than 100,000 of these sacred groves in India. And they are really hotspots for all the birds and the insects to really pollinate there, to have their nests there, to really breed over there. And recently, it's about a couple of years ago, the Indian government brought this under the Wildlife Protection Act. So all these sacred groves also are now protected by law. So I'll just touch briefly on what are the principles and practices of biodynamics generally, and how it comes more to India. Some of these things we talked about. We really look at the farm as a whole living organism. which is the interplay between the farmer, who's the ego of the farm, the conductor, you could say, to the orchestra, and the orchestra is all the plants and the animals of the plant. And it really cultivates biodiversity. We talked about, we really try to bring the plants and animals together, which is very, very easy in India because, as you know, even the conventional farmers have cows. So if you're an Indian farmer, 9 out of 10 you would have a cow. 9 farmers out of 10 would have a cow. We really encourage on-farm fertility and to make sure that the farmers don't have any dependence on outside inputs. So we try to teach them all the biodynamic inputs, what they can make themselves. And we try to cultivate awareness to really talk about the projects, to let the consumers know, like what Matthew also shared about, that really where is your food coming from, and all the tough work which they do to get that. And like I shared earlier, really try to support the integrity and diversity of the local seeds and breeds. We have some sprays, biodynamic sprays, which really enhance the soil and plant health. And that is the approach which is for pests and diseases, a very holistic approach, because we look at all the pests and diseases as weeds, even as messengers, and how we can strengthen the soil, and by strengthening the soil, we strengthen the plant. And like I showed you the picture of that Indian native hybrid brinjal seed, those kind of seeds can really take care of any pest. And even with climate change, if there's less rain or more rain, because of their deep root system, they can really manage that. We treat animals with respect, which also echoes with a lot of farmers here. The only one trend here in India, which is quite disturbing now, is they've started cutting off the horns of the cows, and we are trying to kind of stop that. And we respect the integrity of the animal, that no tail mutilation, no cutting of horns should happen. And one of the two things very unique to biodynamics is that we also work with the rhythms of the seasonal rhythms, watch the seasonal crops, but also the rhythms of the cosmos, the rhythms of the earth, all the moon rhythms. And this is very exciting, and it finds great resonance with farmers because they can remember from their grandfathers and from their ancestors having these planting almanacs, which really, it's, in India, astrology is quite deep, and people can very easily relate to that, and really offers regenerative solutions for the future. And this is a small picture of, we have a federation, a very democratic federation, which is for all our member organizations around the world. These farmers and these hectares are certified, but for India, for example, we estimate there are about 100,000 farmers practicing some form of biodynamics, using some inputs or using the planting calendar, the biodynamic planting calendar. And this is based on the sales of the biodynamic preparations we have and from our association. Also, another thing is the certification for biodynamics is called Demeter. It is much beyond the plain vanilla national standards in many ways. One way is the history. It is the oldest standard in the world. It was set up in 1928. So in a few years from now, we'll have 100 years of certification. I don't think many people are there. Also, it has restrictions on getting a lot of inputs onto the farm. It generates, like we talked about, on-farm fertility. Even livestock, that as much of your livestock should be fed from your produce on the farm and not to import some. It has a biodiversity requirement, and the whole farm has to be certified, not like many other standards where you can certify a part of your farm as organic and the other part not. But in the biodynamic, the whole farm has to be certified. And also we take very big care that the product is certified. So that means even the process is certified, and we are a bit stringent on that as well. Also, we look at it, like you said, holistically. So from really a field to plate approach, a food system approach to really, get consumers to know whether the consumers are in Europe, whether it's exported. Like we sell a mango juice from India where the farmer pictures on the bottle so they know where their food is coming from. And have community supported agriculture. Many farms in India, we don't have so many yet, just a few. But in many countries like Germany and America, a large part of the biodynamic farms are community supported agriculture. And really this fraternity, building a kind of brotherhood in the trade. And, the mango example I gave about is a 30-year relationship. We have a tea estate which went Demeter in the mid-80s, and they are still supplying to the same customer in UK. So really building this brotherhood in the economic, in the business sphere. And I would just like to end with this last slide. Steiner also said that anybody who's kind of a leader or wants to work in agriculture should do farming. Unlike me, I'm not a farmer, but I'm very proud that in this international biodynamic movement, a majority of the leadership, is farmers, active farmers or retired farmers who are full-time farmers. And these are some few people. Petra heads our advisory, research and training for the Demeter International, and she's a Dutch lady who's farming now in North Germany. At the bottom left, you have Christoph Simpfendorfer, who was 30 years a biodynamic farmer in Stuttgart, and now he's a general secretary. Uli Hutter from Switzerland is the leader of the agriculture section, and he is a dairy farmer in Switzerland. And on the top right is Sadman Patel, who was president and one of the best farms in India. He was the president, our past president. Our current president of the Biodynamic Association is also a farmer. So those were a glimpse of biodynamics overall and how it is from the Indian perspective.
Sundeep, thank you very much. I think it was a very good overview of biodynamics in India and globally, so thank you.